Hello. Today I have with me James Newkirt. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he is an independent game developer for the game Ambardia. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so he can correct me if I have that right or not. I often butcher things. But Ambardia is a game, a passion project that he has been working on for quite some time. And like most hobbyists, it has a lot of thought behind it and has been an ongoing evolution for many, many years. And I'd like to welcome him to the channel. Hey, James, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great, I'm glad to have you. This is the initial interview episode, so we don't know exactly how it's going to go, but I figured what we would do is just lead in with some explanation of what's going on and who James is. So, James, who are you and how long have you been in game development?
Hey, thanks. I'm known as Ambard, and of course, my game is Ambardia. The actual digital iteration of the game is 14 years old.
Wow, 14 years. That's quite a while to be working on a project.
Yep, 14. And interestingly enough, though, Ambard is 41 years old. The character.
Oh,
He was my first Dungeons and Dragons character.
ah, nice.
Yeah, he was rolled in a clubhouse in the backyard 42 years ago.
So, what class was he, and
He was a
how
cleric.
cleric, and what level did you eventually get him up to, or continued him on
Oh
to?
God, Jesus, we played for years and years. I don't even
Ah, yeah, yeah. So
remember.
you got right up there then.
Uh,
Cool.
but anyway, Ambard went on to create a keep that he called Ambardia. And so this was all in my youth and everything. And then as time went on, it kind of got buried. The true digital part of Ambardia happened. I got into gaming. Of course, one of my big passions was RuneScape. So I got real heavy into RuneScape. I started playing RuneScape in 2001, about 4 months before they started their pay to play
Ah,
membership
okay.
and
Oh, that was the
stuff.
new client install one or something, wasn't it? I never played it,
But
so.
it was the same. It was the same stuff, but they had some gates you could go through if you bought a membership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was that simple. It wasn't called Classic. It was called RuneScape.
Gotcha.
The old school stuff. So I played a lot of that. Played that for years and years and years and years through their different iterations and stuff. Um, and then I got to looking for other games and found a game called a Two Loss Online, which was created by a guy named Cam in Australia. And I just happened to log into his game on the very first day that he published it,
Huh.
which was pretty cool. So I created a great relationship with him and ended up helping him with some graphics and stuff, and played that for a very long time until I was the number one player, and people started asking me. They're like, "Hey, when are you going to make Ambardia?" And I got to thinking, I could make my own game really if I wanted to, but I had no idea, what to do or how to do it or anything. So then I started looking, and someone turned me on to this game engine called Eclipse, which was written in VB6.
Right. I remember it. Yep.
Yep, and I downloaded that, and that's what I've been working on ever since, through its different iterations, different owners, so forth and whatnot.
So I remember a time though when because I've been following you for anyone who doesn't know that much about my history or whatever. I follow hobbyists and independents with a passion. Like I'm very passionate about the independent game dev community as a whole, and I've been following James for many, many years. Although I didn't know his name was James until just recently. But you had a version you were trying to push over into like a virtual world or a 3D world for a little bit there, uh, sort of in the middle of your saga.
Well, so kind of what happened was, and I didn't mention this, but before Ambardia, I worked for Area Games. And Area Games published Last Chaos,
Okay.
which was one of those Korean 3D beautiful, games in a can kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they, the big push was to get people to buy, downloadable content and so forth and whatnot. There was an American version. I got real in with those guys, and one of the guys started his own company called MMO Smart. What he did was he realized the need for real world transactions, with money, credit cards, and all that type of thing.
Gotcha. So they could buy their loot bags in game.
Yeah, so I moved on with him to MMO Smart, but at this time I was also developing Ambardia, and I kind of, I couldn't give it my all with him because I really was trying to push a game I had passion for, so I did that. As well. In hindsight, I probably should have went with the MMO Smart path because those guys are making gangbusters money now. But
Wow.
yeah.
Hindsight, right? Hindsight. Everything's hindsight.
No regrets. That's all good.
Cool.
Anyway, your question was.
What about your short run at doing a 3D version?
So I ran the Ambardia version of Eclipse, which was Visual Basic. And we ran that game for a good 5 years solid on a dedicated server sitting by my side 24/7. The problem was, in fact, you have the online role-playing game website up with my interview on it.
Yeah, I got the ONRPG article up right in
When
front of
that
me.
launched, we started getting hundreds of logins every day.
Wow.
And our game was free.
Okay,
we
yeah.
relied on a donation system.
Pre-Patreon, of course, so
Yeah,
it wasn't
and,
super easy.
No, but it made a lot of money.
Oh,
but
good.
it drew a lot of script kiddies and
Oh,
hackers.
yeah.
We got too popular to the point to where we couldn't develop anymore because we were constantly concentrating on keeping people from wrecking the game.
Security and patching, yeah.
Got no fun.
Yeah, I hear you.
After 5-6 years, we closed Ambardia with that engine. Well, there was a period of kind of, I guess, depression for me. And I just started looking for all kinds of different things to do. And I really got into these new VR community worlds.
Oh, yeah.
So I already was a little bit into, God, what's the, shoot, I'm sorry. Anyway, there was this one company, and they published one called Sansar, which means the world. It was Linden Labs.
Okay, I've
Linden
heard
Labs,
of them.
yeah, and I knew that guy, and I'm a 3D graphic designer, art, doesn't matter. So I downloaded Sansar and started creating all this 3D content for the community people, the people that were playing it and stuff. And I tried to recreate all of Ambardia from the 5 or 6 years we had published in the VR world.
Right.
And I did. I created I created the whole continent in.
Oh yeah. Well, I
reality.
remember watching your progress shots there. I don't forget if it was a blog or your old YouTube channel, but you had stuff on there, and I kept, anytime you put something new, it'd be, oh, he did something new. I better go see what he's up to.
That got real popular too, and to this day, you can still throw on You can throw on goggles and run around virtual reality Ambardia. It's a real trip.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you should try that out. I got an Oculus too, so I'm actually developing. I'm developing some stuff for it as well, standalone, not multiplayer or anything, but just playing around. But it's cool.
It's fun stuff. It's called Sansar.
Sansar. I'm gonna make a little.
Linden Labs ended up selling it to a company, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Cool. Something new to check out. You gotta like that. Cool.
But anyway, so I did that, and that was really through the pandemic. So for 4 years, I did nothing but develop 3D stuff. And I tried to make a new 3D game with Unity. So it was all just, I was bored. I didn't know what to do. I was frustrated and I had people, old players, I have a community, and they begged me to put Ambardia back up. And I was going to make a space game. Like, I had all this new content I had created for a 3D
Yeah,
Ambardia space game.
you posted the
Yeah.
spaceships and the planets, I think, if I remember, as an asset
Yeah,
pack.
well, Ambardia Galactic Empires is what it was going to be.
Cool,
And
man.
it was pretty cool. But JC, who
And that
owns
was
the
Intersect as well, wasn't it? Or was that Eclipse?
I was going to publish it with Intersect.
Okay, with Intersect. Yeah, it looked like Intersect to me, but yeah.
And I expressed my interest, and JC, who wrote the game engine for Intersect and who owns Intersect, Ascension, said, if you go back to your original storyline and your MMO as a medieval fantasy world, I will help you.
Nice.
How could I turn that down, right? The creator of the engine is gonna, so we rewrote all of Ambardia in JC's game engine.
Nice. And so, what
It
was
was
the time?
3 years ago.
That was it's been a 3 year. How long have you had it up on Steam now?
3 years.
You've had it on for 3 years on Steam?
Just about, I think.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Oh, I thought it just
Yeah.
came. I thought you just put it on Steam. I
Maybe
didn't
a
realize.
year and a half. Maybe we were developing and then we finally put it up after a year and a half. But yeah, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's neat, man.
And we burned through day after day after day. We had general meetings. We had a whole a management system. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, 'cause you
to
had a
the
team of
point-
what, 4 or 5 on there?
3. Me, JC, and Richie. I don't know if you know Richie or not.
I've seen the name on the Discord, but I don't,
He
and
is
in
a-
the forums, but I don't know him per se.
So Richie is a super talented. He was our coder in the original Ambardia.
Okay.
Our scripter, and in Ascension, he is the master of the event system,
Oh.
which is kind of like a scripting system within
Yeah.
the game itself. And he actually helped JC create all the documentation and stuff too for
Right. So
the game.
So for anyone who's listening but isn't familiar, so the Intersect game engine is like any other game engine, but it's designed for 2D, and it's designed for. I'm not sure about its massive multiplayer capabilities, but definitely multiplayer capabilities and pretty big multiplayer. I just don't know if it's I don't know if it could take 100,000 people or not, but you could definitely have 1,000 people on there, no problem. So I would call it a multiplayer engine. And this event system that James is talking about is kind of like the behaviors system in Unreal Engine, like to try and find a lateral, or like the smart scripting in GDevelop. It's basically a way of assigning commands and activities and getting results out of it and connecting them together, kind of like a flowchart. To kind of give it a bit of a description. Is that sound about right to you, James?
You create a map, throw in a bunch of trees, landscapes, buildings, and then you put in a player, and you add an event to that player, like a quest. And the only way to make the quest through the player is to basically script it through the event system.
But the event system isn't scripting. Like, it's not hardcore scripting.
No,
it
it's not
would be
hardcore
super
scripting.
light scripting, or more like a smart behavior sort of thing connecting. And that's kind of what I was trying to describe. But
You double click on your NPC, and a large list of options come up.
perfect.
You can
Yeah.
choose
Good way.
chat.
Good way to
chat,
describe it.
or give quest, or make a bank, or this is a shop, and you select those things very easily, and you assign those options to that square in your map that you're creating.
Yeah, it's actually a quite well thought out system. It works really well. And for anyone who's watched my videos on it, I go through a whole tutorial series on getting up and running in the Intersect engine. And I don't go into like super depth, but I cover like all the 9 major systems of it. So you follow my series and my rambling through those 9, you'll know how to make a game in Intersect, or at least get up and running and know a heck of a lot more than a lot of people know getting started, because there's a lot of moving parts to it. Anyway, we'll get back to the main thing. I just wanted people to have an idea what this Intersect engine was about. So, all right. So you've talked about your experience on those other projects and stuff. What about experience with other game engines, and then your tools of choice? You mentioned that you were more of an art guy, but you have worked on several different engines over the years. So maybe just a short little what your engine experience is, and what your favorite tools of choice are as say an artist.
Sure. So I don't have a whole lot of experience with other engines. I've played with a lot of engines. I am not a coder, which is one of the reasons why Ascension, the Eclipse game system, appeals to me so much. My strong points are graphic design. I did Unity. I played with that. I played with the Blender game engine. I love Blender. It's my core 3D design program that I go to. Photoshop, of course. These are my core go-to things when I try to create things. A lot of Ambardia is almost, some people call it 2.5D. As a point to 2D, 3D. Mine's 2.5D,
yeah.
sort of. Yeah. So some of my graphics I've created in Blender. I also use quite a bit of a mixture of Rainier's tile sets.
Yeah, very familiar with them.
Rainier is a German developer who released a ton of 3D isometric tiles and graphics and stuff 15, 20 years ago.
And if I recall, he was a Bryce 3D engine guy, wasn't he?
No, he was. I can't remember which engine he used. I used to know it, but I don't. It wasn't Bryce. I used Bryce for a little while. In fact, some of my mountains and stuff in the game to this day were created in Bryce, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's long dead.
Yeah, I still have a copy kicking around somewhere. I used to like it because it was pretty easy to use, comparatively
It
speaking.
was fun.
Yeah. Okay, so then, so you came up with the concept. We already covered that stuff. You did that from Dungeons and Dragons, and we went over the different iterations. Got up to the current version. So, what made you put it on Steam then? I guess we'll move into the business model here.
Again, I got through my long period of boredom, and I had people begging me to remake the game. I was gonna remake a space game. JC was like, "Remake your old game. I'll help." And I pulled my old team back together. I've got a lot of my testers, my play testers right now, are still currently active. It's a closed beta right now. I have to assign you a key.
Right, like the one you're
and play test
yep.
it. Yep. So I have a lot of my old core people back helping me out. And yeah, we decided let's do it right. Let's do it. And with JC's help and guidance, we got it up on Steam. I think we've got well over. I don't know what the wish list count number is now, but it's up there.
Can we see?
I think you can actually look that up.
Yeah, let me just take a look here and see if I can see it. I might not be able to see it. Maybe you can see it from your. Yeah.
No worries.
I only can see my wish list, which is only 4 items. So.
Yeah, but we're pretty far up there in the thousands.
Nice.
So yeah, and now I'm really making a big push to try to get it published. We had a period here about 6 months or so ago where we all burned out. We were working so hard on it that we just, the implosion was bad. We all just said, "Oh, we're done for now."
That sounds like the beach in Mexico time.
Yeah, no, we shelved it for 6 months. It was running. The play testers were still playing it and stuff, but we were out. And it wasn't until I've been at it now about 2.5 months again, developing.
Well, obviously, you had enough content to hold them over.
Yeah, no, so about 2.5 months ago, I created a brand new character, and I wanted to see how long I could burn through the content. And it took me about 2 months to burn through what we've got, but that doesn't even include, like, I didn't max my skills or anything, but I did. It took me 2 months to get through all the quests and side quests and the game and continents. There's 6 major continents. It's impressive for what it is so far.
Cool. I just maximized the trailer here so that people could look at that a little better while we were talking here. So, so how many hours of gameplay currently in it? Do you think?
If you play nonstop 24/7, I mean, there's probably a good. In fact, my website actually can tell you uh, there's a high scores board in it, and it tells you how many hours people have played.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see how many hours you play. You can tell how many steps you've taken. Like there's a ranking for who's taken the most steps.
Wow.
You know, there's a ranking for all the skills, fishing, who's the highest. You know, there's one called what is it, raids or something. Who's killed the most rats?
That's funny.
All that kind of stuff. But there's, I mean, I haven't
So,
looked at it lately, but there's a lot. You can play this game. I got one guy. He's determined to try to get to level 100 combat before we go live. And right now, I think he's getting ready to hit level 80 combat. And he's been playing almost the whole 3 years we've been at it.
wow, eh? So, when are you looking at going live? What's your ETA?
So we gave up. We gave that up. We don't do that. We don't say, okay, we're going to do that. This is our date. This is our.
It's going to be ready when it's ready, sort of thing.
It's going to be ready when it's ready. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put together. In the last few months, I've gone backwards and I've fixed misspellings. I've
Mm.
made graphics flow better maps, better things. I want to see it published by the end of this summer.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
That's my goal.
So, in the meantime, so if somebody wants to get to be a beta player of this, like say if people watching this video decide that they want to beta play this game, and they watch the video, relatively soon, is there a way they can sign up for that or get in touch with you?
Currently, if you just come to my Discord and you request that you want to be a beta tester, I will send you a key. I've got about 45 keys left.
That's
that I can
including mine,
use.
right?
That is correct. Yep.
No, but that's cool. So anyone wanting to know, you just go over to his Discord, and if you're not a Discord member, I really recommend signing up for Discord. That's where all the indie game devs and hobbyists and professionals hang out. It is pretty much the go-to place if you're into game dev. Is you're on Discord.
You have to have Steam running to play Ambardia.
Right.
It's a Steam game.
It's a Steam game at this point, so yes.
Yeah.
Now, how did you? How's your server? Is your server through Steam, or is your server ported over? Like, how is that running? Because obviously it's a multiplayer online game. So how's that? Sort of, like, I don't need any major details because, of course, we don't want to give anything away to anyone that could be security compromising. But just basically, because Steam's in the middle, how do you? How's your kind of hosting set up generally?
So JC takes care of all of that. It's 24/7 secured. It's never crashed
Nice.
so far. Now, once we release, we expect to have hundreds of people flooding into it. But of course, we'll be there to take care of any kind of a problem that might happen.
Right.
JC has released some Ascension games that have been extremely popular, and it's very secure. It's very stable. So we're not too worried about crashes or.
So would this be on his own? I know he has his own hosting service then. So I'm assuming he probably handles it over on his own services, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. No. Cool.
It also will run on Macs, Linux.
Oh, the client.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Linux. That's good because Linux is getting to be. I mean, of course, I'm a Linux guy. I do so much on Linux, but I still have to be primarily developing on Windows just because we still live in that universe where there's a lot of tools that aren't there yet. However, it is growing. A lot more people are making the switch over to Linux. It's
My wife test plays on Linux.
nice.
Test plays Ambardia on Linux. We have an extensive storyline. Me and my wife are both writers. My wife is she's got a degree in English.
Okay, that helps. It helps a lot. All the story writing and what's the word I'm looking for there now? I don't know.
But
Crafting or I don't know. It's composing story
yeah,
element.
extensive storyline. With all kind of different branches of thought. So it's pretty cool.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we've kind of covered everything unless there's anything else you want to mention. But I would highly recommend people check it out. If you're curious at all, hop over to his Discord, ask for a beta key. And if you watch this at a later date, add it to your wish list and maybe pick it up on Steam and give it a try. The one thing I can definitely say about independent developers and hobbyists and people like James, with it puts so many years into a passion work like this, you will not be disappointed by the storylines that go into these types of work. They're not just factory farmed out a bunch of plot filler. There's actually a lot of stories and characters that have been built upon for years in these types of games. So please check it out. And James, thank you very much for this interview and thank you for the beta key. And in the next video, what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be rolling up a character and starting out in the world of Ambardia. Thanks again, James.
Thanks a lot, Paul. Appreciate it.
Got it. Cheers.